Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, and welcome to Apex Racing TV's coverage of the Oceanic Formula 1 Championship here at Silverstone GP for round number 6 of the championship. My name's Scott Newton, and alongside me tonight is Samuli Kumo. Welcome, Samuli. And Silverstone, quite a challenging track for the drivers, but also one of the iconic ones throughout the world.
Yeah, thanks Scott. Hello everyone. Yeah, here we are at the Silverstone GP. It's described as the home of British Grand Prix racing. Very well suited to this car, and I believe we do have Formula 1 happening this weekend at Silverstone as well. So that's a good coincidence here. There's plenty of space to overtake here. The first section, that is very technical and challenging. You really need the downforce. And then you're followed by a long straight. The drivers will be having a DRS that will enable them to make the passes if they need to into the very fast but still hard braking zone there at the end of the hangar straight, followed by another technical section. And then we head off to this. Actually, this is the older version. This is not what the track looks today if you go there. But still, this is a great place for racing, and I think we are in for a good one here.
Yeah, for sure. To be honest, much more of a preferring of this layout. Heading through the left-right chicane of Abbey and then through Bridge Corner flat out pretty much, and yeah, he puts the car pretty much on the rails. But yeah, definitely the current version of the track is still quite a good circuit.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't even figure out my way around it when we went there last year. It looks so different, and at some points even suspected that we were walking over the old track. For example, that bridge. I'm terrible at corner names, but what it is, it's just not used at all anymore. But we'll see. Maybe someday iRacing will also head over to UK again and scan the new one. I'm not sure if they are just waiting on it to finalize some of the changes that they are planning or what is going on with it. But I would really like the updated version as well.
So we're just coming up to the conclusion of qualifying at the moment. Looking as though that throughout the field there's got some pretty close times, but also quite spread out through the field.
Yeah, at the front, at the top, we do have the usual names with Latoras on the pole with 1 minute to 21. And Gregory Olson, second at 1 minute 22. Well, might well run through the rest of the grid as well. On third, we have Steve Jansen. Fourth, Ashley Howell. Fifth, Jan Bresina. Sixth, Bea Albert. Seventh, Dane Hammond. 8th, Louis Wedding. 9th, Matt Webb. 10th, Luke Sullivan. 11th, Martin Houston. 12th, Bill White. 13th, Alan Morgan. And 14th, David Stride. And it does seem that everyone has set time. So we are good to go. Still waiting for the cars to... Actually, that is Martin Houston still might be on his qualify lap. But the checker is out, and so I don't know if he has any time for it.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting for...
No, he has
stick down, but
crashed out.
Yeah.
Well, while we are also waiting for the gridding process to start, we should also mention the championship standings. We do have Evan Latoras leading, I believe, but at least the standings we have here, the points appear not quite correct. I don't think he has 625 points. I believe the correct value is somewhere around 400. But Latoras should be leading, followed by Gregory Olson and Ryan Parkins. Olson at 361 and Ryan Parkins at 391. Steve Jansen 4th, Matt Webb 5th, Martin Houston 6th, and Mitchell McLeod 7th, Jan Bresina 8th, Chris Moretta 9th, and Jason Hyde 10th in the championship standings. So it appears that the drivers are making their way to the grid. So this first corner in the Silverstone, it's always a challenging. It's very fast. You don't quite have the full confidence at the restart because you're going there at the unusual speed. You really need to trust the car under you. How would you approach this one?
At the start, yeah, definitely taking it easy on the first lap with cold tyres, even though that the track temperature is around 35 degrees. You've got a cold ambient of 19 degrees ambient, so definitely lots of horsepower out there for the drivers, but just as we are counting down, we've got 10 seconds before the green lights.
Alright, we are almost ready. Only waiting for Alan Morgan here. He may be starting from the pits.
Revs are about to build, and we're off, and it looks as though that from the front, Janssen got a pretty poor start, allowing one of the Blackadder Motorsport cars to go through. Lathoros getting into turn 1 first, going too wide through turn number 1, Cop's Corner, but it looks as though that everyone's got a fairly decent start, despite Janssen falling back a couple of slots.
Yes, Lathoros and also they got a great start. They were able to pull away from Janssen, Brezina and Albert slightly to open up the gap here. I don't really believe the DRS is going to be open, not this time around yet, but Brezina and Albert going at it. That is Albert on the outside here, now looking for a way to make pass. Going on the inside line, car looks really unstable. Wasn't able to pull away, Brezina leaves plenty of space, but still this continues. Albert really struggling with the grip of his car. Whereas Brezina just doesn't seem to have the straight line speed, he's constantly under attack. And here goes Albert on the inside.
Yeah, great move from Albert there, heading up into the Abbey chicane. Yeah, definitely looks a lot more confident heading into the first lap, just as they're coming up through Priory now and into Brooklands now. Leaders coming through Woodcote now to start the second lap. Gap currently up to around about 0.8 of a second as they go to start lap number 2.
And here, let's see, towards the second half of the field, we have good battle here for the 10th place as well, between Shane Hammond, Mottred, Phil White, Dave Stride, and even Alan Morgan, 14th. But, well, actually, Alan Morgan, he has fallen back. It seems he took the pit lane start, but he is now making his way back. Pretty close here for the second place. It seems like Olson has dropped off from Lathoros' pace and is currently very quickly coming under attack by Steve Janssen. And what has happened here? Pio Albert. I don't know if you can get it on the replay. He has had an issue in the Abbey.
Yeah, just as we go back to the replay, coming up to Club Corner, yeah, just loses the back end, just going in a little too hot. Yeah, an unfortunate mistake there from Albert as he was in 4th place as he made an overtake on Brezina, but yeah, all that hard work unfortunately undone, all in the space of one corner. So back, Albert falls back to 13th, but yeah, should be fighting his way back up the field quite quickly as gap currently to Street is 2.5 seconds.
That really tells you how close this field is. He was all in there for top 5, but now he's second to last after that spin. But I think at his pace he should be able to make a few more positions before the end of this race.
Yeah, looking at the battle for second place, it looks as though that Janssen had the DRS available to him, but it wasn't able to close up onto the back of Olsen, as Olsen defends quite well through Club and Vale now, heading up to the second DRS zone of the track, with the first one being on the Hanger Straight, and now heading up into Abbey Corner, as with Janssen opening up the DRS, looks for a move up the inside, but yeah, just doesn't get the drive up to alongside Olsen to make the pass.
Yes, Janssen was very close to Olsen even at the start of this lap through turn 1, but Olsen was able to pull away from him through the max package section. So maybe Olsen just had a bit more confidence through the corners, but Janssen, he just might be feeling a bit faster through the fast sections. And I think Janssen is again closing in, but let's see if he is able to keep it in touch and make use of the next DRS zone here.
Yeah, Magus Beckett's Chapel, quite a very fast section of the track, as Jensen gets a solid exit out of Chapel, but even with the DRS I think he's still a little bit too far back, just as he's hitting 328 kilometers an hour, not quite getting to 330, but yeah, he closes right back up onto the gearbox, still about 0.3 of a second back on Olsen, but yeah, Olsen doing a stellar job at the moment, holding on to that second place.
Yes, I was looking at the gap between them in the real time, and it seemed like Olsen was gaining 0.2 through that corner section there, especially through the maggots and turn 4. Oh, and what have we here? A battle for 9th place between Martin Houston and Matt Webb. Matt Webb going on the inside line. Is he able to hold on to it? And yes, he is. That is 9th place for Matt Webb.
Here's a great move from Matt Webb up into the Abbey chicane on Houston. Had the advantage of the DRS and was able to get alongside Houston and up into the 9th place. Definitely not an easy overtake to make, but yeah, Matt Webb makes it stick, and yeah, as they come around to start lap number 4, moves up 1 position.
And something happened in front of them. That was, I believe, Lewis Sullivan was having some issues through the turn 1. Yeah, it looks like no, that was Lewis Wedding. I'm sorry. Yeah, Lewis Wedding, he ran wide on the turn 1, and Ashley Howell was able to make the pass on him.
Yeah, just to see heavy battling from Lewis Wedding, trying to make the move on Ashley Howell up into club corner, but wasn't able to make the pass. But yeah, going back to Lewis Wedding running wide at turn 1, definitely don't want to get over that curb on the exit of turn 1 at Cops Corner. It will fire you into the barrier if you happen to bottom out there as the car loses balance. So yeah, definitely something to watch out for the drivers, even though that the track temperatures are quite suitable for the tyres. But yeah, something to definitely keep an eye out on, as we've still got 47 minutes to go in the race.
47 minutes, but the groups are still fairly close. It seems like we have these groups of 2 and 3 cars that are starting to form up. So perhaps the drivers are able to hang on thanks to the draft. But also you do have some kind of a little bit of dirty air effect there that prevents just this massive cruiser car that we are used to seeing in other series. Let's say the well, PSRTC. There you have 50 cars on a small track like the Fanshat's Indy. So we're not seeing that kind of draft packs here right now. But we are seeing Janssen drafting on Olsen. Going to the Abbey chicane, and Olsen has a mistake, locks up the brakes. Olsen going through the outside line. Oh, sorry, that was Janssen. Janssen going through the outside line.
Yeah, Jensen definitely applying a lot of pressure and managing to force the mistake out of Olsen. Olsen locking up the brakes here. Definitely don't want to do that to prevent the over use of the tyre. So yeah, Jensen up into 2nd place. It's had quite a strong season, 2 podiums this season, so definitely looking to make it another one here.
Yeah, and also as well, he's been having a strong season, and he did have one win so far at round 4. If I can look back what round that was. Round 4, that was at Imola.
Took the no stop as well. So yeah, definitely strong driver in Olsen. We'll have to see how the pit stop plays out, especially with the way that the track temperature is today. But looking as though currently the gap between this battle and Lathoris, it's already up to 5 seconds in the space of 6 laps. So it's looking as though that Lathoris is pushing very hard, definitely wanting to cement his dominance in this series.
Yeah, we haven't seen Latoras much so far this race, but he has been having fairly uneventful, at least the start of it. But I believe one driver who is not having uneventful race is Alan Morgan. He had some kind of issue here. I just saw him dropping on the time sheets. Just take a look. It might be just some issues through the club corner. Just a small spin. No major incidents there. But still, this battle for the second place continues between Jansen and Alonso. It seems Jansen is able to pull away slightly here. Let's see the lap time difference when they come around completely this lap. And another battle that is continue is the Lewis Wedding and Luke Sullivan for the 6th place. Behind them is Matt Webb, just trying to catch up to them, and is actually catching up at the few tenths lap in last time by.
Yeah, last time around Matt Webb.
Goes here between Pio Albert and Albert spins. Nice recovery here.
Yeah, just take a look at on replay.
Yeah, I don't think he was really. Albert was challenging, but
yeah, it was Martin Houston that was all over the back of, and yeah, just getting on the power too early on the exit of Abbey, and yeah, just looped it around. It was a great save from Albert. It looks as though that Martin Houston's having some connection issues, so whether that's playing into the mind of Bo Albert, whether he's having to hold back and not trying to make the overtake just in case there's any further incident. So unfortunate incident there for Albert.
I did see Albert practicing those moves during the qualify, so maybe he was preparing to have some pins and incident in there.
Oh, I see that Jansen's fallen down the timing screen as well.
What has happened there? He has stopped at the Abbey chicane. Or he was very slow at least.
So he's just coming up to Abbey chicane. Ahead of Olsen. He's just clipped the inside curb, and oh, that's a huge hit into the outside barrier there. That's a huge mistake there from Jansen. Currently falls down to 5th place as a result of that. Definitely not something that he would have wanted, given that there's still just over 41 minutes of this race. But yeah, he's having to nurse the car around the track, whether he decides to come into the pit lane.
He is pitting right now.
Yeah, it looks as though he's got quite a lot of suspension damage on this car. So just go back to live. So he's taken a 4.3 second stop. So yeah, it looks as though they're just taking a fast repair and some new tyres, and yeah, I reckon he'll be heading towards the end of the race on the just the one stop there.
Yeah, that's really the only option. You have to take the fast repair at this point if you have any suspension damage. Repairing that would have taken at least 15 minutes, and there's just no time for that in this kind of race. He is still in the race at the position of 12. Phil White is about 5 seconds ahead of him, so he should be still in for at least top 10.
Yeah. Also, seen that Bo Albert has retired from the race, so I'll have to see whether they are able to go back and see what happened to Albert, whether he's come into the pit lane and decided to park it, or whether he's had an incident on track. But yeah, it looks as though that Albert's out of this race and will finish 14th today.
Yes, I'll go back and check what happened to him. He spins it out of the priory and just leaves. He must have had some kind of damage, because that is just normal spin. He must have had some issues beforehand, because I mean, you wouldn't just leave because of a normal spin, especially there was no damage there. He did have another spin earlier on at the club corner. No, that wasn't spin, he just ran wide. But it appears that he is definitely not happy with the car and how it handles. So maybe he just decided to cut his losses and move on.
Yeah, just looking up at the battle for, is it pin number 5 between Luke Sullivan and Matt Webb. It's very, very close between those two drivers, just as they're coming around the exit of Woodcote now. Then we have to start lap number 11. Sullivan last time around was slightly quicker, but only by 100th. But yeah, Matt Webb pretty much all over the gearbox of Sullivan at the moment, as they are heading up into the far section of Magus Beckett's chapel.
Yeah, Matt Webb only 4 tenths behind Luke. He should be close enough to make a pass under the DRS, and Luke will have to defend, possibly using the battery, and I believe he was here. But Matt Webb still following closely here, maybe looking for the next DRS zone here. Now if he can get a good run out of the club corner, he might be able to make a run for it into Abbey. No, just not close enough. And it seems like we've seen most of the overtaking happening tonight at the Abbey. I don't think have we seen even one overtake into the stove? I don't think so.
Yeah, there may have been 1 or 2 that we may have missed, but yeah, it looks as though the preferred overtaking spot tonight is Abbey. Observe that it's been quite a short DRS zone. Normally, when we've got cameras in shot, it looks as though that it doesn't provide that much of an overtaking spot, given just the short nature of that little straight there, even with the DRS.
Could perhaps have something to do with the track conditions and the way we've seen drivers really struggling with traction, especially outside the long corners like club corner. So maybe that opens up opportunities to make the moves compared to, let's say, Chapel and Packets, which is, it's not as challenging because it's mostly just your timing and downforce rather than the throttle application. And again, Webb still very close to Sullivan. That's only 3 tenths.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it looks as though it's much closer, but yeah, just can't get the drive out of Vale there to make the overtake. So yeah, just having to fall back into line. Gap currently still hovering at 3 tenths of a second as Sullivan runs wide at Priory.
And this is one of those sections that is, there are many lines you can take here, especially through the final corner. and you never really are really exactly sure what line you need to take. And sometimes in defense you take very different lines in very tight exit, and it doesn't really cost you that much. So maybe even for Matt Webb he might be just looking for clean air here. Although he is not falling back, actually he is catching through the maggots and packets, which is not something that usually happens with these high downforce cars. And he is very close here, and I would expect him to go on the inside, and he does. Matt Webb on the inside line, is he able to hold on to it? Still side by side. And Luke Sullivan not giving up now, it's inside for the Sullivan. Runs a little bit wide on the braking, and Matt Webb is able to make the pass.
Yeah, textbook move there from Matt Webb to run the over-under. Yeah, it was an awesome move there from Matt Webb. Yeah, taking full advantage of Sullivan's mistake running wide into club corner, just taking too much of a narrow entry into that corner, just compromises entry and then subsequently his exit. So an awesome move from Matt Webb to get into the back end of the top 5. He finds himself in 5th place, 3.2 seconds behind Ashley Howell.
And we do have a message from info on Albert. He was really struggling with the car and just not having an easy time tonight. So it was just his own decision to call it for tonight and move on to the next week and put some more practice in for that one, as we have Martin Houston coming for his pit stop, and this might be scheduled. I don't think he has had any kind of unusual incidents.
No, I haven't seen any unusual incidents from Martin Houston, so yeah, it looks as though that it would be a typical...
Oh, sorry to cut you off, but we have battle for 6th place between... no, 7th place between Wedding and Shane Hammond. And we have Shane Hammond on the inside line here. Who's Wedding looking for a cutback through club corner. Now the DRS opens there. Who's Wedding looking for an inside line here. Not quite close enough to make a run for it. Has to just stay back this time around. But they were very close into the stove.
Yeah, it looks as though that...
yeah, so I was just saying that all of a sudden we have plenty of action on the track.
I think you can gain at least about 10-15 kilometers an hour in the DRS zone, so yeah, if you can get right up on the back of the car in front, about 2-3 tenths, yeah, you definitely got a shot of making the pass into the Stowe corner there. But Wedding, unfortunately, not able to make the overtake. But yeah, it looks as though that he's managed to stay with Hammond as they're going through Beckett's and Chapel now. We'll see whether he's able to get a solid exit. Yeah, he looks as though that he's got a good exit out of Chapel and opens the DRS. Has to go around the outside, but has the overspeed and yeah, manages to make the pass around the outside. So good move from Lewis Wedding and makes it back up into 7th place.
Yes, good move there, and also it looked like Shane wasn't going to fight at it. He just knew it as soon as Lewis was so close on the entry to the DRS zone. There's not a whole lot that you can do, and it almost looked like Shane is maybe missing some top speed, maybe too much wind, or just more wind compared to Lewis Wedding. Do we have a battle here for 11th? No, I believe that was just David Stride let him feel wide through. So, Latoros leading, and Gregory Olson second, and Young Resina third. Latoros has been able to slowly open up the gap, and now it's already down to up to 13 seconds. Last time by Latoros at 1 minute 24.1. Is that even the fastest lap of the race? Could be... No, Steve Janssen has said one with 24.0, which is a little bit faster, but that is still blistering pace at this point of the race.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether Lothoris has done a 23.8 according to the overlay, but whether that had a an off track where Lothoris went over the track limits, but yeah, still 24.1 at this stage of the race, blistering pace with everyone else doing high 24s to mid 25s. So yeah, cracking pace from Lothoris at the moment, opening up his gap to Olsen. Gap currently at the moment 13.7, so it looks as though that he's managed to open up the gap by another 7/10 last time around. So wouldn't be surprised if he would be in soon to take a pit stop if he's taking tyres at his stop. But yeah, we'll have to see what he's coming up to. 30 minutes to go now.
Yes, there's a fairly good gap for Lotharos to take their tires because, well, you have Olson and Brezina, they are running together, but then Ashley Howard on the fourth place, he is 16 seconds behind Brezina, so there is a gap for Lotharos if he wants to just take early stop. Although usually we've seen that drivers prefer to just run long as they can and take little fuel as possible. As this battle for second place really seems to be heating up, it's only about 5/10 right now.
Yeah, Brezina was able to close up good 6 or 7 tenths last time around. Olsen managed a 124.895 compared to Brezina on the 24.278. So yeah, Brezina managing to find extra grip and closing up onto the back of the second place driver of Olsen. So with the DRS open for Brezina, it looks as though he's able to gain even more up into Stowe. Gap currently at the moment 0.8 of a second. So it looks as though that Brezina is trying to apply all sorts of pressure on Olsen.
I was trying to see what kind of lap times or time, how much time do you lose on the pit lane, although not quite able to see it here, but at least on the outlap you are losing about 20 seconds. So maybe that's about 10 seconds or more on the entry, I believe, depending on where your pit box is.
Yeah, it looks as though from the light timing, that Steve Janssen had a 34.7 second pit lane time, including his stop. So if any of the drivers decided to pit, they would lose quite a considerable amount of positions, probably except for Lothoris, who would probably slot into fourth place, given his gap is 32 seconds to Ashley Howell, but 36 to Matt Webb.
It is a fairly long and narrow pit lane here, so that explains the long pit lane time. The pit speed is the usual 22 kilometers per hour limit. So if, let's say, Lotharos were to pit right now, he would come out very close to Ash Howard and basically between Howard and Webb. And that's not going to really give him the clear air that he needs or wants. So maybe Lotharos should just stay out and try to open a gap enough so he can come out in front of Howell. As we see Shane Hammond completing his pit stop, that was 5 second stop. Let's see, the pit lane time is 35 seconds. So it is very consistent with the estimates that we were getting. Also, Davis tried having some issues there. Seems like he has retired now. that was in... was it turn 8?
Yeah, just coming up to Club and Vale now. Yeah, just heading through there. Oh, it just gets on the power too early. And yeah, lips the car, but yeah, decides to retire from that. So, unfortunate mistake there from Street, as he finds himself all the way back down in 12th place. We'll have to see whether he decides to rejoin the track, but yeah, an unfortunate mistake there from Street and puts him way back down in the field.
Looking at, considering David has left the session, so I don't think we'll see him back on the track.
Just looking back up this battle for...
Yeah, go on.
Oh, sorry, yeah, just looking back up this battle for the second place. Brasino closing up right up onto the gearbox of Olsen. Gap currently is at 0.3 of a second. He's closed up right up onto the gearbox. It looks as though the Brasino's had a strong lap. We'll see what the lap times are this time around. As it looks as though fairly similar. Brasino only managing to close in 1/10. Looks as though that Lathoris has had an issue somewhere, as current gap between Olsen and Lathoris has fallen back to 6.5 seconds. So whether Lathoris has had a spin somewhere, or whether he's coming up to lap traffic.
Yeah, his previous lap time was 1 minute 33, so there has to be some kind of spin. We'll see his lap time this time around if there's any issues. I'm just looking back at the replay, trying to find out what happened. Ah, that was in Club Corner, on the exit. I'm sorry if you can get it on the replay. But basically what happened is that he just loses the back end on the power on the exit. Spins on the grass. Fortunately it doesn't collect any damage and it's able to carry on, although losing a lot of time here. And with that, the battle for first place still might be going on towards the end of the race.
Yeah, just trying to take a look back at the replay of Lathoris spinning. Ah, here we go. It looks as though they've got it now. So he's taking the second part of Vale, and yeah, just puts a little bit too much throttle, and yeah, just loses the car, and yeah, it goes into the inside grass section. So yeah, an unfortunate mistake there from Lathoris. It looks as though that he's burnt up his tyres quite a lot. So whether we'll see him in the pit lane within the next few laps, but currently still holding on to the lead. Last time around, he managed to open up the gap to Olsen by 0.3. So looks as though he's managed to get those tyres cooled down and continuing to push on. Looks as though he's still in control of this race.
Yeah, still about 6.5 second gap to Olsen. So if he needed to do some cooling, it didn't really jeopardize his position. And look at this battle here for 7th place as well. Louis Wedding and Steve Janssen still going on. They're very close toward the turn 1. It looked like Wedding was able to a little bit pull away, but now again Janssen is very close through the turn 10 and should be in the DRS zone. Also, he runs a little bit wide there. That might cost him some speed. And he is not quite close enough through the Abbey. And just has to follow and stay back for the time being. But it's really looking like Janssen wants this 7th place, doesn't it, Scott?
Yeah, definitely. He's just maximising the exit of Woodcote there, trying to look for a gap into the Copse corner, but unable to get alongside. I reckon his best chance, definitely, if he can stay close through Beckett's and Chapel, it's definitely going to Stoke corner. Just depends on whether he gets a good exit as they're heading through there now. Wedding looks as though he's put a little bit of a gap, but Janssen with the DRS open now. Wedding will be hard on the battery trying to defend and successfully manages to defend. So it looks to say that Janssen, even with the DRS, is not able to get up alongside Wedding up into 7th places. They're battling for now.
What if Lewis used his battery on the previous DRS zone? Let's see what happens here, because now Janssen is very close again. Looking for the inside line, but just... it doesn't seem like he is able to close into the final part of the straight. As they still battle on through this final section. Overtaking in here is not something that usually happens with these cars. Quite often in the, let's say, touring cars and slower classes, where you can just basically dive in and take the inside line, but not with these cars and with the speeds and how quickly these change direction. So if you put your nose in, you're going to lose it.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with the aero dependency of the MP430, definitely don't want to be just trying to force your way through without being quite alongside the driver in front, as we see Wedding having some connection issues, but manages to rejoin. So yeah, maybe a little bit of an issue for Janssen trying to make the overtake, as yeah, connection issue can definitely hamper Janssen's progress.
Yeah, let's just hope that his connection stays up and we get to enjoy this battle. And they go side by side here, very close to contact. I think Janssen just backed off as soon as he saw that it was not going to happen. That was really the closest that we've seen so far. And I think now Lewis Wedding also has to be aware of that and defend the inside line. Because that was just, he left it wide open. Steve Janssen took it, just wasn't able to quite slow down enough there to make it safely by. And again, Janssen very close to here, turn 1. Heading to the maggots and baguettes section. Okay, this time around it looks like Janssen is close enough, so let's see what happens here, Scott.
Yeah, so with the DRS open, Janssen's definitely still not able to close up, which is very, very surprising. It looks as though that Wedding's just saving up the battery all for that defensive move into Stone Corner, and it's proving successful at the moment for Wedding as they're coming through Vale Corner, hard on the power. Janssen over with the DRS open, definitely not close enough. Yeah, it has to fall back in line this time around. Yeah, it's very, very close between Janssen at the moment as they're heading through Bridge Corner and up into Priory. Gap still 4 tenths of a second, so Wedding putting up a great defense at the moment. As Janssen almost getting his nose taken off there through Brooklands there, as they're coming around the final corner now to start lap number 26 for them. As Wedding has a huge issue through Woodcote. I have to take a look at that back on replay.
Yeah, I'm just looking at. I really know what happened to him. That must be some kind of failure with the hardware or equipment, because that doesn't really make any sense to me.
Just an unfortunate thing for Lewis Wedding is he finds himself in the pit lane. Yeah, definitely a very hot battle for the past 4 or 5 laps between Janssen and Wedding. It's obviously sad to see that technical issue for Wedding, as it was a great battle that he was having with Janssen.
I just looked over that even on board. It seems like Wedding just suddenly, either he lost steering because he's suddenly very quickly turning the steering wheel one way and then other. So it would be nice to hear from him, at least some way, just what happened there, because that is a very odd looking incident.
Yeah, definitely not something that you see too often. Cars heading off there through the final corner. Yeah, definitely an odd one to have to Lewis Wedding, but hopefully he'll be back out on track. As I see that he's currently a lap down, finds himself in 11th place, but yeah, it's sad to see that he's down a lap as he was battling for the 7th place as Jensen makes the pass on Luke Sullivan up into Stoke Corner. Yeah, it looks as though that Jensen got a great exit out of Chapel and was able to make the overtake on Sullivan. Looked as though that Sullivan wasn't putting up too much of a defence really, as Jensen had too much overspeed to get the pass. So Jensen up into 6th place, currently just under 9 seconds behind Matt Webb, top 5.
Jansen really didn't waste any time there, getting past Sullivan. And now setting his sights on Matt Webb. Webb is about 8.5 seconds behind, ahead of Jansen. And there is about 15 minutes remaining on the race, so let's see. I don't think Jansen has quite enough of pace to catch up to Webb. But Webb hasn't pitted yet. Let's see. Do you remember when did Jansen pit? I think it was very early on.
Yeah, it was. I reckon it was within the first 15 minutes of the race. So probably would have been the first 10 laps.
Yeah, that was exactly on lap 10. And we are currently. Motoras is about to finish. Wait, is he finishing? Sorry. Just lost a Latoros there, but he is finishing his lap number 29. So we'll see if Jansen has enough fuel to finish this race, or does he need to come in for just a splash and go, basically.
With the MD430, you have to take all of the fuel at the start, so we'll have to see whether he has to save fuel. Currently, we've still got 14 minutes to go plus 1 lap. As yeah, with this car, you have to take all of the fuel at the start. So through the pit, if you decide to take the pit lane, you can only change tyres in this car. So yeah, we'll just, as you say, we'll have to see whether Jansen can make it to the end, battling through heavy traffic and obviously burns more fuel when you're in traffic.
Let's see here. Well, based on that, it really sounds like we won't be seeing pit stops from the top 5 at least. But Jansen has been catching up. The gap is now down to 4.5 seconds. Previous lap time was 1.5 seconds faster than Webb. So it may not be over for Jansen this time around, and he might be in for 5th place.
Yeah, it just looks as though through Club and Vale, as gap currently just over 4 seconds. Now it's just under 3 seconds. Just falling into the under 4 second barrier. So yeah, it looks as though that Jansen's quite a lot quicker on the. Or as he makes a mistake through Priory, has to take to the gravel. Definitely pushing as hard as he can, but loses 2 seconds out of that mistake there. So yeah, Jansen definitely pushing as hard as he can to try and get up into the top 5, but yeah, with mistakes like that, definitely going to hamper his progress as we're coming up to just under 11 3/4 minutes to go.
It wasn't a really fast lap time for Webb either. He seems like had also an issue because his lap time was 1 minute 97.7. So Jansen really got lucky there and didn't hardly lost anything really. Only there about 5 tenths. So he is still in it, but it's really going to I think it will be down to the final lap for Janssen, whether he can make the top 5 or not. And also, we have a word from Martin Houston. He retired basically because his internet connection just wasn't working well, and decided that because of the safety of the other drivers, he just called it in and didn't want to cause any issues there. And here we have a nice punch for the 9th place between Alan Morgan, Shane Hammond and Lewis Wedding. Oh, that is Shane Hammond slowing down, and was almost didn't see him.
Yeah, that's Wedding getting him back up into the top 10 after that unfortunate error, a technical issue at the final corner. So yeah, Wedding back up into the top 10. But yeah, it looks as though that it's making the move on Alan Morgan, getting the DRS, finds himself in 9th place. So up 2 positions in the space of half a lap. So great recovery from Wedding as he finds himself in 9th place. But always we see Hammond diving up the inside of Morgan up into the club corner. So also a great move there from Hammond, as looks as though that Morgan's having some issues by the looks of it, as the gaps opened up quite substantially.
Yeah, that was a very opportunistic move by Hammond there. He saw that Alan Morgan's line and exit was compromised after letting Lewis Wedding by. So he took the chance and saw the spot there for 10th place. But yeah, Alan Morgan seems to be... he has had some issues during this race. I've seen him just not being happy with the car at all. Basically the same thing as with Bio Albert and Martin Houston. It just doesn't seem like the car wants to stay under him. So possibly, I'm not sure if it's the conditions, wind or whatever it is, or just the setup, but it's not really working out for him tonight.
Yeah, whilst this battle for the 9th place is the closest battle on track, it looks as though that Lewis Wedding is managing to pull quite a substantial gap to Hammond. I'm just going to take the opportunity to give a shout out to the sponsors for the Oceanic Formula 1 Championship, proudly supported by Ars Medica, Neveo, KRF Motorsports and Melbourne Kart Centre. Melbourne Kart Centre have kindly put forward prizes for the top 3 in the series, of the first place driver getting a race suit. I think the second place got a pair of race boots, and the third place getting a pair of race gloves. So great to see that the sponsors have chosen to support a great series, and it's always great to see.
And let's say someone is watching this and they would like to join the series, where would they go?
You can find information on this series at oceanicf1.com. They have a website there, but also in the iRacing forums. It's under the Australia New Zealand road racing section. If you are able to access that, or I think there is a post in the McLaren MP430 section if you're an international driver. So it's one avenue of finding the series. The series is open to international drivers as well as Australian New Zealand drivers as well. So it's great for the organisers to have it open. It's also great practice for the iRacing Grand Prix Pro Series coming up in Season 4. So if you're looking to try out this car in a semi race conditions, yeah, it's always good to get into the hosted sessions, the hosted series, before you attempt to go for the the Pro WC license for the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series in 2018.
Thanks for that, Scott. And yeah, if you're worried about this being mainly Oceanic series, we do have one UK driver, Ashley Howell, currently running fourth, so it's definitely not going to be an issue. Okay, we are coming close to the last 5 minutes of this race. I just saw Jansen having another issue, so maybe his tires are just done, and he might be settling in for that 6th place. The gap is still 4.5 seconds, but I just don't see him having enough time to catch up to Matt Webb.
Even with the gap in the fastest laps between those two drivers, I think it would take a very, very tough effort from Jansen to close up the gap. It looks as though that we've got about four laps to go, depending on when the Thoros crosses the line. It looks as though that he'll be around the Maggots and Beckett section of the track, looking at where Jansen is roughly. So it looks as though that we'll have about 4 laps to go currently, but we'll just have to wait and see where he crosses the line. Gap currently between Thoros and Olsen is still 10.5 seconds, so whether Thoros decides to slow down if he hasn't fueled the car correctly, he has that little bit of a buffer, but if he has to push on, we'll have to see whether he's able to fuel save. Given that there's still 4 laps to go, it'll be pretty hefty fuel save if he hasn't fueled the car correctly.
But have we seen? Oh yes, we did see some issues with the fuel, at least at Imola. And did someone run out of fuel on the last time at Road Atlanta as well?
Yeah, Road Atlanta's quite a high fuel burn circuit, even though it might not look like it, with the massive long straight between turn 8 and 10, but also through the tight and twisty sections as well. So even though it might look like a high fuel burn circuit, it definitely is something that the drivers had to factor in as well. Sometimes with this length of distance, you're looking at about 60 to 66 kilos of fuel for the distance, but you know, definitely pushing on the fuel load up and towards 70 kilos for the race, I would think.
And next week we will be heading over to it's the American Grand Prix at Road America. So that is another very high speed circuit, but also a very technical middle section there. I think it's very similar to this Silverstone here. You have long bits of straights there, but also these very high speed corners like the carousel and the King. I think similar to what we saw here at the Club Corner. If the track is very hot, we might see some of the same kind of issues that drivers have been struggling tonight with the rear grip. So possibly they could take the lessons learned here in these conditions and then apply them to the next week at the Road America setup.
Yeah, typically with Road America, you'd think that it would be a low downforce circuit, but given that it's got quite a technical middle sector, yeah, you definitely want to set the car up for it so that it's got as much downforce for that section as well. So I'd expect to see that the drivers will be trimming out as much as they can for the straights, given that they've got at least 60% of the lap at full throttle. So that'll be quite an interesting, exciting race. That should be quite an exciting one for next week, as looks as though that Steve Jansen's managed to close up on the back of Matt Webb as well, just as we're heading up into the second to last lap. but it looks as though that Janssen not able to close up onto the back of Webb. Webb defending extremely well at the moment as they're heading up into the club corner. Janssen not able to get up on the inside, having to fall back into the line.
Now let's see what happens here, because Janssen, he has been struggling with the rear tires and tires in general, I believe. Doesn't seem like he is willing to take huge amount of risks here with MATLAB. And Janssen, he has been getting some consistent finishes, so I would be really surprised if he throws in a very high risk move on MATLAB just for the one position here. Oh, and that is very close. Ooh.
Oh, Matt Webb having a half spin on the exit of Woodcote there, gifting the place to Janssen, who finds himself in the top 5. We're just going to cut to the leader at the moment as he's heading through Bridge Corner. Lathora's very, very dominant through this race, even though that he had that slight mistake through the Vale Corner. But as he comes around to complete the final lap as the clock ticks down, it looks as though that we are on the white flag. So Lathoris takes the win for round number 6 of the Oceanic Formula 1 Championship. So congratulations to him. Third win of the season now. So it looks as though that he's able to extend his lead over Greg Olsen, who comes across the line now for finishing second. So, and then Brezina running out the podium. Great result from him. Continues his form on from last week at Road Atlanta. So second podium for him. Ashley Howell coming up through the final section now. Looks as though he's managing to hold off of Janssen as well, even though he's up. So Ashley Howell coming across the line now for the 4th place. Congratulations to him, a solid result for him. Janssen recovering to 5th place after his unfortunate mistake earlier on lap 10 as well. Matt Webb coming across the line for 6th place. And the last one to come across the line on the lead lap, Luke Sullivan. Yeah, solid result for Sullivan, given that he had some small mistakes through the race. Finds himself in 7th place, and a solid result for him, given his previous results in the last few weeks.
Good, great race here. Also, I just saw there was also a close battle for the 9th place between Phil White and Shane Hammond on the last lap. Hammond really gave it his all, but just wasn't close enough to make the pass there. And great result for Vladoras. That is indeed his 3rd win, and also I believe that is his 5th podium of the season. And this is the 6th race, so that is why he is leading the championship right now. And also great ride by Olson and Brezina. Brezina again on the 3rd, so that is 2nd consecutive podium for him. Olson, he did not finish in the top 3 last time around, but he did win there on 4th, and should be able to maintain his 2nd place in the champion standings, especially with Ryan Parkins, who seems to be missing this time around. And we might see even Steve Janssen claiming the 3rd place in the standings from Ryan Parkins. So, I think that's pretty much it. You are... I think you had to go very quickly, so if you still want to go through the final results, then I think that is for us tonight.
So just taking a look at the final results of round number 6 of the Oceanic Formula 1 Championship. Lathoris takes the win, 16 seconds clear of Gregory Olsen. 3rd place, Jan Brezina, further 3.5 seconds behind. Ashley Howell, about 31 seconds behind, so quite a gap from the 3rd to the 4th place. Steve Janssen, great recovery for him to finish in the top 5. Matt Webb in 6th, Luke Sullivan in 7th, Lewis Wedding finishes 8th, Phil White finishes 9th. Shane Hammond rounds out the top 10. Alan Morgan finishes 11th, and our retirees David Street, Martin Houston, and Bo Albert rounds out the field.
And thanks for that, Scott. And while we are finishing up here, we do have more racing coming your way here on the Apex Racing TV and on the iRacing Live. On Tuesday, yes, there's no racing this weekend anymore until the next time we are at the Euro V8. That is coming in a few weeks' time. But on Tuesday, 2 AM GMT, we do have the Rick Sports Car Series coming up, as well as on Tuesday evening UK time at 8 PM UK. We have the BSR Formula Renault, and then on Thursday we continue on with the BSR team with the BSR TC Kia Pro Series coming to you on Thursday at 7:30 PM UK time, and then we are back to the Oceanic F1 here on Fridays at 11:30 GMT. So at this point, I think there is nothing left except thanks to you for watching, and on behalf of me and Scott here, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time around at Road America. Take care.
When I sat in the car, you always wonder, what's it going to feel like? It was my first time driving a mid-engine GT car. My thoughts were, wow, this is really good for our first time in a car. I was really surprised by it. You're sitting low, you got the A-pillars at steep angles, the windshields at steep angles, you can see the fender flares. I think we have a chance to win. Everything's got to go right, but I think we have a car that can win the race or be on the podium. But can you imagine how cool that would be to go back 50 years later to the year and do it?